I guess we're good. All right, let's get started. So welcome everybody. Thank you guys for giving us your time, particularly Nick for giving us his time tonight because he doesn't have to be here, but he gets to be here. And I love having duo Nicks. I don't know if we could have any more. We have two Nicks, two Joshes. Sometimes we have two Daves. That's just crazy. But I don't know if we can do any more Pete's or Brandon's. That's all right. We're very thankful to have him. I've gotten to know Nick here a little bit in the past, 6-7 months pretty well. It seems like we talk daily, or at least he listens to me daily. And his trading has just been, awesome, right? He's come a long way from in his trading career. And I'll probably let him, I think that's going to be, you're going to kind of talk about that probably for sure. Hopefully. Right. If not, then let's talk about it now.
I was going to keep it light, but I can talk about it.
Well, let me interrogate you for a second, Nick. How long have you been trading for?
So I joined Apiary in 2016.
Okay.
And I before that, I tried to trade penny stocks and that didn't work out very well for me. And then I found Forex.
You lost dollars and pennies.
I did. I mean, it wasn't that I lost them. It just wasn't, I don't know.
You can't find them anymore.
Yeah. I couldn't. But I found Forex and Apiary through some sort of probably Dave's marketing campaign. And I joined. I went to a summit in Orlando. And then I met everybody and that's what sold me. Before that, I was like 50-50, this could be a scam. But after I met everyone, I was like, okay, they seem like really nice people. So I guess I'll keep going.
Yeah, that's how we get you.
Yeah, I didn't know that they just practice being nice.
We get you. We bring you into the family, and then you're part of the family. And then we introduce you to Brandon.
Actually, I was pretty skeptical, and I remember at that summit, I met a guy, and he was like, we were talking, and I was like, "Where are you from?" And he was like, "I'm from Puerto Rico," and he had been at it for a little while, and he told me that he was not going to go to a summit until he could pay for it with his apiary winnings, and then he was there, and I was like, "Oh, so this can work for normal people." And he was like, yeah. He's like, you get a couple setups that, make sense to you. And then it clicks eventually. And that kept me going for a long time.
Awesome. That's pretty cool. I love, so I'm going to just kind of expound on what Norma just said in the chat, because I get this all the time from like people that, and you may have heard this, but I get this all the time when people describe you or talk about Nick and they kind of are attracted to the way Nick approaches the market. So hopefully he'll let us into a little bit of that. His thought process, his mannerisms is kind of unique and different. And I've kind of really learned to appreciate when I've had the opportunity to trade with him and some scenarios where he asks really, really good questions and digs helps me to pull out some really good answers. So that's probably the way he views the market, the way he trades. And so I truly am excited from that. I'll just kind of shut up now and let you kind of take it from there, because I don't want to steal any of your thunder or go a different way. But again, can't say how much I am appreciative of you being here tonight. And so if everybody could, if you like something, put it in or write it down. I'm sure he'll do a Q&A at the end, right?
Yeah, sure. And if there's any topics, so like this is my first time, but I didn't know what the people wanted. So
give them what they want, man. Give them what they want.
Something, but like if there's something that you guys gravitate towards that you'd like to hear more about, or you didn't hear but you hoped you would, just let me know. And with that, we'll get started. Let's see. So yeah, pretty bold bold teaching claim that was out there.
Oh, it's not bold. You just gotta. It's totally accurate. 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure there's just one thing. But I do think that I have an answer for you, but I did not. I built my lesson tonight more around my process. And so last week, I believe Pete talked about trusting the process. So I thought it'd be a natural transition to kind of talk about my process and some of how I think about the market. And it's actually, kind of changed in the past couple of months, and in a good way, I think. And so I was going to share that with you guys. Okay, so I don't know if this title is super apt, but we're going to go with it. I think at the core of what we're doing here with our process that Dave's kind of taught us is the one price cycle. We've talked a lot about all we need is one price cycle. Getting your break even where it's one price cycle away. You're in danger when you're more than one price cycle away. And I think that's because one price cycle is so significant. But before that, I have my intro. So my name is Nick Kovash. I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And as we said, I've been trading with Apiary since 2016. I traded a little bit. I didn't do that great. So I stopped for a while, and then I would try to do other stuff, and I would realize trading was way better, and I'd come back and I wouldn't be good at it. So I'd quit again. And I did that for a really long time until I realized that trading is not going to get any better unless I actually work at it. So I started working at it. Went to a few boot camps. That's what my photo is. That was probably the wealth and income one. For whatever reason, they didn't print me a certificate, so they gave me that blank one. And
did you really pass?
Evan did print me one in the lobby afterwards, but it didn't feel real. Felt like a pity certificate, but they took a picture with me, so that's all that matters, I guess. Okay, so I kind of wanted to approach this with some metaphors with how to think about what we're doing here. A lot of us are very analytical. I'm methodical, analytical for my investor profile. So I do have an analytical side. So if I have a system, I'll ask why, why are we doing this way? And will this always work? And what are the pitfalls? But I realized at the heart of it, I am methodical. And so once my whys are all answered, I just want a solid set of rules to follow. I think I'm just worried that you're going to give me a bad system and I'm not going to know, and I'm just going to blindly follow it. But I noticed, we ask a lot of questions and we try really hard to be perfect with what we're doing. And I don't think it's necessary. I don't think trading needs to be complicated. I think you can just, you get to a point where you just do the rules, and then you have the results, and then that's all there is. We're still figuring out the rules, and so it's a lot more stressful. But so I wanted to think about, I don't know, I guess there's probably a lot of different ways you can think about what it means to buy and sell inside of a market and what it is you're trying to accomplish. But I would like to propose that you think of it as kind of a really simple bet. So you place a bet, and you're betting that if you had good risk reward parameters, you're betting that the price is going to hit your profit before it hits your stop loss. So just like any bet, you bet I bet a red car is going to pass down the street before a blue car. There's odds that might happen, and you could be right or you could be wrong. And you're not going to be, unless you're hyper competitive, you're not going to be overly emotional about it, because there's some amount of it that's random. And flipping a coin is kind of the same way. If you and I were if I was hey, I have a coin here, I'm going to flip this coin. You want heads or tails? And then we just bet every single time, and you had to keep your heads or your tails. And that's in a sense what the market is. We are placing a bet, and we're just waiting to see if we were right about our bet or not. And so it's, what makes trading better than flipping a coin is that you can have an edge. And so it's all about finding an edge. You want to find some sort of thing that you can recognize with your eyes that happens more often than the opposite. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Like the whole thing is just finding one edge that you can count on at a higher probability than the other. So you see like your triangle wedge forming, and you know that pops to the upside more often than it pops to the down. That's all you need. And you just place your bet on it every single time reliably. And it isn't about being perfect. It's just about playing the odds. And what the edge that Dave tries to teach us here is the high probability setups. So he's given us, I don't know, like 5 or 6, but the one that we don't talk about explicitly is the one probability, is the one price cycle. So the one price cycle, getting to have one price cycle is a high probability setup. I'll come back to it apparently in 2 more slides. Well, actually, let's just go there now. So this is a throwback to some data that Khalid did, and actually one of these classes. And I think it was really great, and I think we celebrated it. But I just come back to it so often because it's just profound. Like the fact that you get, this is all the pairs, but the fact that you get one price cycle 38% of the time, which is more than any other type of price cycle, is astounding. But what's more astounding than that is if you added it up, if you're going to get a 1, 2, or a 3 price cycle, that happens 76.1% of the time. And what we study here is being able to handle a 3 price cycle move. But also what's not explicitly stated is after you get a 1, a 2, or a 3 price cycle move, you're going to get a move in the other direction. Otherwise, it would be a 4 or 5 or 6 price cycle. So 76% of the time, you're getting a 1, 2, or a 3, and then you're going to get one price cycle back. So if you were wrong, 76% of the time, you're going to get like another price cycle back in your direction. And not only that, but if you were right, 38% of the time, you're going to be right immediately. So to me, like if I said I gave you a system that was going to win 76% of the time, like I don't know. I don't know what else you like. I don't know what else you need. So I think that's really important for what we're doing here is like when we sit down at the charts, all we're looking for or all I'm trying to look for is just one price cycle. And that has simplified my trading immensely. Before that, I was doing all this analysis and I was like, how can I know if it's going to go up or down right here? And the answer really is you don't know. You have no idea if it's going to go up or down. But what you do know is 76% of the time, you're going to get a price cycle in your favor. So that's why David and Sean say things like you can make money either way, because you really can. Like if you just place buys in, like, don't do this, but if you place buys in the middle of the chart, you could know eventually you're going to get a price cycle in the buy direction. And that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Like that's all we're doing. And that's what I've been doing each day is I look for my proper trade placement action point. I kind of look for a general direction that the market's moving. And I just start placing trades, waiting for my one price cycle. And yeah, there's money management involved and there's like subtle techniques that you have to practice, like distributing your layers, making sure that you can get back up to your break-even point. But really, like all I'm ever doing is just waiting for that one price cycle and then doing it all over again. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what actually like makes a system. So this is kind of a grab bag of things that I think about, but in my trading for a very long time, I would make like 0.2, 0.3%, and I would lose like 3%. And so I could pretty regularly make 0.2%. Pretty easily, in the first like 30 minutes or so. And then I'd get really nervous and it just kind of wasn't worth trading anymore. But when I would lose so much more than my winnings could cover. And so what you have here is a system that's kind of like not balanced out. It's a net negative system. And so what I had to think about was there's two ways to approach this. One, you can bring your losses down. So I could, instead of losing 3, I could say I'm going to lose, 0.5% instead. That's it. The other way is to bring your wins up. So you can try to increase your return, which is, both of these things are not easy things to do. But honestly, both of them need to happen. And so I think what we all need to do is kind of form, and it's based on your goals. So we need to form kind of like a box that we're going to work inside of. And so the box that I picked was, I wanted to win. When I win, I want to win 1%. And when I lose, I want to lose 2.5%. And so that box kind of takes care of itself if I can win twice as much as, or more than twice as much as I lose. So that's something we talk about here too. Like, try to keep your losses within 2. You can make them up in 2 to 3 days. That's a personal thing though, because like some people, you could make a system that works where you win all month and then lose half of it if that's what works for you. And like a lot of trend following systems is something like that. They take like one trade, it might lose, one trade, it might lose, and they just go all year until they hit the big one. And that takes care of them for their year. You can see down here, I think like figuring out what your break-even point is for whatever you're working on is a valuable thing to do. And so I actually started tracking my trading in like February sometime. And I looked back at it, a couple of weeks ago, and I had 8 wins and 4 losses. So that was pretty good statistics, winning 8 out of 12 times, 8 out of 12 days, losing 4 days. The average win was around 0.75 because some days I only won like 0.5%. And the average loss was around 4%, negative 4%. So I was in a deficit. Which was super eye-opening to me because I didn't think I won that often. So for me to think, I've won 8 days and I've lost 4, so I'm winning way more than I'm losing. But because I let my losses get so big, I'm net negative. And so the other factor in the system is, why couldn't I limit my losses to like 0.5%? Well, it's because the way I trade, I have too big of a drawdown. So if I were to start cutting off my losses at 0.5% immediately, as soon as it hit 0.5%, I wouldn't be able to trade. I'd have to like shut down after like 10 minutes. And so you have to find like, what's a normal like fluctuation while you're trading, and that you use every day to make your money. So for me, around, negative 1%, negative 2% is pretty normal of a drawdown before it comes back my way and I end up, making money on my position. So I have to set my max loss at least that drawdown. Otherwise you won't close. You're not going to close it at that point. So I did an example here where there's like 2 ways to optimize this. You can rely on your wins. You can say, I know I win, 8 times. Actually, I don't even know what I was calculating here. What does my winning rate have to be to basically cancel out the fact that I've lost 4%? So if I was fixed on losing 4% and I was like, I'm never going to change. Well, okay, you have to get your win rate up. What does it have to get up to? Well, I've got to cover that 16% with my winning. And that comes out to be 2% on average a day. So I have to get better at winning 2% a day at the same rate if I'm going to keep this 4%. The other side of the coin is like, okay, say you feel like you can only ever make 0.75. That's all you're ever going to be able to do. You can't fathom a way to make any more money than that. Okay, so what can you do with your losses then? Well, you've got to, since you're only ever making 6% on, when you multiply it out, then you have to lower your losses to 1.5%. That's your break even, 1.5 or less. And so I think this is a valuable thing to check on for yourself. Like, how often am I winning? How much do I win when I win? How often am I losing? How much do I lose when I lose? And kind of see, like, I mean, it's a personal decision, but you're going to have to work on both sides. But limiting your losses is about kind of calling it quits at a certain point. Raising your wins is it's hard work if you're a careful person like me. So that's been kind of my journey is working on increasing my winning rate. So I kind of talked about this already. My process is trying to get one prize cycle. And if you don't get your one prize cycle ever, you just take your loss. And hopefully you worked it out to where your loss is equal to, whatever you figured out in the last system. But it might not be. I'm still working on it. And when you trade a different size account, it becomes confusing. That's it, the end. But so I guess, like, to answer the question that we started with, which was like, what's the one thing? I really think the one thing is to begin to think in probabilities instead of thinking in terms of correctness or incorrectness. I think that it's written all over the place. It's kind of like a thing that everybody knows, but we grew up going to school and we got grades, and we were graded based on, our, how close we were to some sort of ideal. You just need to throw that out the window. That is not how trading works at all. And, in life, we avoid pain, and we try to stay kind of safe. And we do know it, probabilities kind of implicitly. Like, you drive your car, there's always a risk that you're going to get in a car accident. And no matter how well you drive, you can't get rid of the fact that somebody else might hit you. Somebody else might be a bad driver. And you know that, and you still drive your car. But, also people, when they get into an accident, they blame themselves. They think about how bad of a driver they are. They can't believe it happened to them. And that's just the wrong way to think about. I mean, there's just factors you can't control in the market. And you need to think about it in terms of what are the odds of this playing out for me versus not. And we talk about that in the room with the risk versus reward question that we pose. If this goes wrong, where am I at? If this goes right, where am I at? And I think that that's really, like, if we could shift into thinking that way with our trading, I think it just takes away, like, why would you be emotional about if you knew that the odds were, only had like a 5% chance of winning this trade and a 95% chance that you lost, and you took the 5%, why would you be mad? Why would you be mad that you lost that? You took the low probability choice. And on the flip side of that, if you take something and it doesn't work out, and you take the same thing and it doesn't work out, and it never works out, you can just know, okay, that's probably the low probability choice, and I need to be on the high probability choice. It's not about being perfect, and it's not about being correct. Oh yeah, I don't know if I finished that thought, but in school, we're held to some sort of metric, like 100%. We get graded if we get an A. We get graded in this class, how close we are to an ideal. But really, you need to be thinking about, like, can I be right more often than I'm wrong? And what do I see that shows up more often than not? And then bet on it, and just bet. And you have to just bet on it every single time. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Well, what is
Nikolai Autobus? I love it.
I took Pete's slideshow and made it.
I love it.
Edited
So I like the way that you're thinking. I like the way you present. Just could you quickly explain the one thing that you said, that if there was one thing, you said the price cycle, right?
Yes.
Can you explain can you explain what a price cycle is?
I can. Yeah, I can. Actually, I had a thought that I would show you guys my losing trades and how there was one price cycle that I could have taken advantage of. So in Discord, I have created my own little area where I post my trades each day and I show the plot. So I have come to realize that this weird web looking thing is profit. That's like a profitable trade setup. Mm-hmm. This is me building in and then taking profit when it pops back my way. So that when you see those, that's
can we judge you for PTP?
No. That is not what this is about. So here, the very next day, or not after that, I got a minus 4.69%. Basically, I got in too heavy here. Well, this is not a great example. But
don't look at this.
I got in too heavy here, and then when I did get I was out before I let it come back. So you can see, not very much longer, you did get way more than one price cycle back right here. So I guess it is a good example. That was nighttime.
So again, explain to people what a price cycle is, because you're anchoring on that, but your whole premise was to anchor on a price cycle, but you never taught us what a price cycle is.
I just figured everyone knew.
There you go. Committing a suicide.
Sorry. Okay. So, price cycles are these waves. So it's cyclical. When you get movement, and the movement is proportional. So there's like a one. So this little leg here would be a one price cycle. And then what you get relative to that, so if you get two of those in a row, it's two price cycles. And then two price cycles up, maybe one down, two up, one down, two down, one up. And so it moves kind of like, sound wave, I guess, up and down. And that's what a price cycle is. I'm sure I did just as bad of a job telling Jess what a price cycle was.
It's a sound wave, Jess.
Jess, come on.
Listen to the price cycle.
Hear the price cycle.
Eventually, it'll speak to you.
Yeah. So yeah, the market's wavy, and it goes in waves, and that's a price cycle.
So understanding price cycles, or understanding what you just put together.
Yes.
How is this information that you put together and presented to us, how are you going to take this, and how's it going to make you a better trader?
Great question, Dave. Okay, so let me tell you how I used to trade.
Okay, so before and afters. Once upon a time, there was a Nick. Oh, guys, I gotta end with my poem for Nick. Did you read that?
Oh, yeah, I did read. I was very impressed at how quickly you wrote it. Okay, so before, how I would trade is I would be kind of near the top, probably, or it'd come down just a smidge, and I'd buy. I'd be like, oh, it's going up so hard. It's going to keep going, and it's going to break out the top, and I'm going to be rich. And I'd buy kind of here at the top before a price cycle actually happened. And then it would drop, and I would get really scared, and I would say, oh no, I'm wrong. it's not going up, it's going down and I need to get out. So I'd get out and I'd sell, and then it would come up and I'd say, oh no, it is going up, so I should buy. And I'd buy, and then it would turn around and go down. And I'd say, oh, now it's really going to break the bottom. And I've been wrong 3 times. I can't afford to be wrong again. So I should buy. And then maybe it would actually go up and hit my profit or something. And then it would come a smidge and I'd buy, and then it'd drop. And so it was chaotic. I was just making all these decisions. I was really nervous and I didn't know what was going to happen next. But what I do now is I bet on the price cycle. And so you can kind of see before this point that we've had cycles. I mean, we had a gigantic one, but we know that we get cycles. And so even honestly, looking at how big this cycle is, I would take that into consideration. And so when this comes up, I would say, well, we've come up a while and I want to buy. So I should expect a price cycle back down. So I would be more patient, and I would know that eventually we were going to get one price cycle. So I'm not nervous while I keep buying because I know we're going to get one. And yeah, maybe.
Can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
When I first started trading with Nick, he was nervous taking those trades and learning. He was nervous. Like that was like my thing, as I kept saying, Nick, we got to get you to add more risk, right? Because he was not taking a risk, because he was nervous, he was scared, right? And for him to, he's now teaching what I guess in words, I'm like, I am so impressed with how far that you've come. Does that make sense? Because now you're teaching people how to do it because you've done it. Your mind has been expanded, right? And you now risk is it's calculated, but adding in the one price cycle, you're now looking at it from, I'm not taking a loss, I'm building. Does that make sense? And I'm waiting for absolutely. That price cycle up. And it's just a whole mind shift that needs to happen as a trader. And I am really, really excited that this happened for you. For sure.
Yeah, it's like Pete said, trust when I'm buying, instead of being like, oh crap, I'm like, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. And the process,
he says it so many times and he holds onto his blanket.
Yeah. Eventually, I start clutching the blanket. I'm like, trust the process.
Dave said to trust the process.
Where is the process? That was happening today. But yeah. But you're right. It is like that. It is like, okay, well, I should get one price cycle. And if I don't, then this is just, one of those days that's in the 25%, which is, not as often. And that's what you have to just bet on that and just say, yeah, 25% of the time I was going to lose. I knew that because 25% of the time I don't get a price cycle.
Yeah. It's like going to Texas and betting that the next car you're going to see is a truck, right?
Yes.
There's a high probability that's going to happen.
Yeah. Or, if your friend asks you that, you'd be like, yeah, I'll take that bet.
Oh, I can see people, Josh is typing something.
He's like, there's no trucks here.
You never not have a truck in sight. That's a safe bet.
So this one I lost 2.5% on. And you can see here, I had a price cycle back in my favor. It was kind of slow, but it's pretty much the same size as that one, I think. And I didn't take advantage of it. I was not trusting the process. Well, I don't know if that's considered not trust the process. I just was holding these. I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to get 4 price cycles, I guess. But that one right there, that's where I could have gotten out. And I didn't do it. Let's see. A lot of my losses were at night.
These are like still a while ago when you're, a while ago in trading evolution.
Yeah.
Is only like a month or two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like you've come so far in the last couple of months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. This one, you can see I wrote these down and I got this pop up here, which is probably a price cycle. I mean, this one's probably 50%, but it came up and it came up again. It gave me 2 chances and I didn't take them, and I sat on them and then took the loss down here. But while you're trusting the process and you're buying, you got it. Like, that was it right there. That's your chance. That's what you're waiting on. That's what I should have been.
So where did this click for you? Where did you start to turn your trading around, you think?
Honestly, I think it was, I mean, everything is kind of like a stew. But I think really like seeing Khalid's numbers, I just couldn't rationalize any longer why I shouldn't trust the price cycles. I mean, he did a pretty massive back test and he had the percentages there. And we've always taught that. Everybody's always said, like, you're most likely to get 1, 2 or 3. 3 is more rare, and it's more rare going up. But and then I think some amount of it was starting to see the success. Like, when you pay attention to what you did right and what you did wrong, and you keep on eliminating, like me, night trading usually goes pretty poorly. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to trade at night anymore. And then trading after like 9 a.m. went poorly. So I was like, okay, not trading after 9 a.m. Like, you have to narrow down what it is you're trying to work on to reduce as many variables as possible. And then suddenly you're seeing like winning days, a bunch of winning days in a row. And you're like, okay. And then I think being intentional about where you try to grow. So in the beginning, or not in the, like, just last year, probably, I was like putting overnight trades on. I was like changing my size. I was trading all day long, which, like, okay, whatever, that's fine. But the problem is, all that stuff is different. Like, you can't try to track that all in one like little area, one of your journal. Overnight trades use different risk reward ratios. They're going to screw up your results, so you're not going to be able to see like where you're going wrong. Trading outside of like your normal morning session is different. Like, the market behaves differently after London closes than it does during the New York session. It just does. And we talk about, even during our New York session, like, sometimes it's not a wobble market. We have to use other strategies. And so it's like, you're just adding more randomness into the pot and then wondering why you can't have consistency. And it's because you're trading completely different scenarios all at once and trying to optimize all of them all at once. And so I stopped doing that. I was like, I'm not going to trade overnight anymore. I can learn that later whenever I'm good at this. I'm not going to trade all afternoon anymore unless I'm stuck in something, because I'm not trying to learn that. I'm trying to learn this. And so I got really specific about what it was I was measuring and working on. And then, and then you start seeing the success.
I really love that comment. I love that. You like eliminate the variables, focus on one thing, get good at that one thing, then add to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the one thing that I just love that Nick has done is he created Nick's trade plots, right? If you want to be better as a trader, you need to be vulnerable as a trader. You need to not feel like sharing the losses like what he's doing. Don't hide your losses because you're ashamed of them. He's broadcasting them because he's saying anybody can see it. I'm doing a loss. I'm taking losses. I'm doing good. 20%. Anybody can see it. Do you know what I mean? Anybody can see it. I am vulnerable. So help. And that's how he's fixing it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, you're right.
And it's like, it doesn't matter to him anymore when he takes a loss, because he's broadcasting them. And I love that because every trader is going to go through this stage of having a lost day, of taking a huge loss. Every trader. If you haven't yet, it's because you're brand new, right? And that's and the fact that he's sharing this, his journey with everybody is awesome. And it can't help but make him a better trader. Right. I think there's a saying that, what's done in private remains a secret, and what's done in public changes you forever. Right. And I can't, maybe I'm butchering that, but it's like a mistake that's made in private remains a mistake. A mistake that's made in public gets fixed. Something like that. And so that's what Nick is doing is he's showcasing his wins and his losses. And he's not, nobody likes to share their trading. Nobody likes to share that they lost 19% on Friday. Nobody likes it, right? So why do it, Nick? Why did you throw it up there?
I mean, as fun as it is to like look at the 1% a day club and see all the 1%, I think I have been on a losing day while that channel's blowing up, and I think, I don't know, I just want everyone to know that. I mean, like, it's like you said, letting it out is good. I mean, it makes it real. It's less likely for me to pretend that I don't have something to fix. I think that we run away from the scary stuff. And so this kind of helps. It's harder to run away from it if you've posted it. If I had to take the time to plot my trades, watch it populate, take a screenshot, put it in here, type the return out, all of it's like very much like facing the music. Like, and then while you're doing that, you're sort of like, dang, how did I get in this situation? Where did I go wrong? And when you don't do that, it's really easy to just say, man, the market's so stupid. Trading is dumb. Like, who even wants to learn how to do this? And just shut your computer. And you don't ever reflect on what happened. And it's like, and like you said, like, people comment, like Duke and you, and have been in here, like have gave me some helpful pointers on my plots, and just having a record to scroll back through. Like, I wouldn't have ever been able to look at the fact that I won 8 times and lost 4 if I didn't do this. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know. I would just be like, I don't know. I feel like I won some and then I lost big and this sucks. And like, your loss feels so much bigger and more like, when you have a losing day, you feel like that's the only day you ever had. Mm-hmm. And this is a good reminder that that's not the only day you ever had.
It's not the only day, right? I mean, take a loss. It's like, well, it sucks. Nobody likes to lose. But if you get too emotional and you get frustrated, you could turn a losing day into a losing week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's this kind of an analysis that like, let me see that if I would have kept my losses down, like if I would have just like not lost 20% and instead lost 5, I might have a profitable system. And to be able to do that, you have to be able to say, oh, it wasn't my day today, but maybe tomorrow will be. And then we'll just leave it at that and not be mad about it. It's okay to lose. Like, it's like you said, David, I realized that like, all I'm really shooting for right now is to have more winning days than losing days. Like, if I can win 3 days and lose 1 day, hey, that's great. And like, and a loss is just more data for your big grand trading experiment. Don't let the fact that it's money cause you to be emotional and not actually experiment. Like, the challenges that David has created where we actually practice our skills. Why didn't we think to do that? And I think it's because money is scary. It's practicing losing money is weird. Like, it's like, oh, I don't want to lose money. I don't ever want to take a risk that I'm not going to guarantee profit. But that is not the arena that we're in. Money is like these, we can pretend there's some sort of casino chips and they're not real. And that's just the token that you have to use to play the game. Like a slot machine, you put money in before you get to pull the wheel, and you have to put a trade on before you can see if it pans out. There's just a certain amount of loss that's built in, and it just happens to be money, but you have to like start using it like what it takes to play the game instead of like the money that you're so emotionally attached to in real life.
I love it. You make some really, really awesome points, some great things. You're kind of like, we've kind of ventured into price cycle and is psychology. And
yeah, I'm like all over the place here.
No, it's just kind of funny to me that that's kind of the evolution, right? That you're on, right? You said, you mentioned 3 months ago, you were practicing everything. You were overtrading. You were doing this. You're like, where's the technique? Where's the strategy? Where is it? And you're hunting for something that you could align yourself with. Does that make sense? And now you're hunting for the psychology. And I've said that so many times that when a trader can start focusing on the psychology of trading, that's really when growth starts to happen, right? Because trading is mental, and you're mental if you do it. And so we're all just a little bit crazy, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's right. I think before there was so much going on. And if you're new here watching right now, I know it is so overwhelming. It is like when you're trying to ride a unicycle or something and you have a coach next to you who's like, keep your balance and keep pedaling and don't lean back that far, but don't lean back that far. Just stay upright, but lean a little. And then you're just like, what the heck is happening right now? And there's like so many elements to
that's so funny
to trading that's like happening all at once. But
that's when I would teach my basketball kids as a coach, and they're like, and I would just teach them how to get the perfect shot. I'm like, it's easy. All it is arch, angle, distance, flick of the wrist, and jump. You do that every time, it's in.
Exactly. It's just like any kind of like fluid mechanical thing that like eventually it's just like you just do it. But in the beginning, you're like thinking about it in pieces is hard because it doesn't work. You can only focus on one or two pieces at a time, but you're not going to make you focusing on your jump shot and just the push up and release. You're not going to be good at making the basket with just those two things. Right. And it's the same with trading. Like that's why it takes so long to be profitable, because you can focus on hitting your high probability setups, but later you still have to focus on, getting rid of not holding losers, and you still have to focus on not and taking your max loss, and you still have to focus on days that aren't wobble days. So just because you mastered one piece, you're still going to have a day that's going to cause you to lose. And that's just like, you practiced your jump and then you still airballed it. And you're just like, I did what you said. Why didn't the ball go in? And it's like, well, I mean, this is not an easy thing. There's a lot to it. And you got to kind of study them independently, and don't be mad at yourself, because you got to know it's a process. And I was guilty of like, I don't understand what's happening right now. I don't know what rules to follow. Like there's 1,000 rules. And so it's really helped me to kind of narrow down like what's kind of a base rule that I can focus on. And I think that base rule is the one price cycle. We have a lot of stuff at level 2 and level 3 that we add on with win while losing and the other high probability setups that you can use to maximize your return. But I think at the core fundamental level, if you could just focus on taking advantage of one price cycle, I think that will get you like 60% of the way.
I agree with that. 60% of the way. And I think every trader is trying to hit the same goal. And that is to make money in the market and to have financial freedom. Yeah. I would probably say that hands down, every single trader is trying to hit this goal, right? Everybody on here that is the goal for trading, right? How you get there is completely different for each trader, right? But the journey that everybody takes is the same, just the path is different. Meaning that the journey here is the trader's journey to financial freedom. And you got to start by placing a trade, no matter what. Nobody gets around it. Your journey starts by the first trade that you place. That's it. Then the next step is you got to find a system.
we're coming from all different angles.
Right? You got to find a system. This, no matter what, takes some time from the first trade to finding your system that you can trust. And sometimes people never find it. Sometimes people hunt forever and give up and they never get past that. The next thing, once you get the system that you trust, is you got to focus on the head. Focus on your headspace, right? Because the market's going to kick the crap out of you and you got to be willing to take that and take the losses and move forward. This is where I think you're at, Nick. I think you're starting to get right here, is you're focusing on the head. Once you can conquer this, then the next evolution is you have more wins than losses. Your winning days become greater. And then the next evolution, which is the last one, is that you make more money and you don't have to trade because you're fine with the amount of money that you made. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the evolution of a trader. Now, how you get there is completely the path, but everybody goes through these phases. And I'm going to say, I'm really happy with your trajectory. I'm happy with everybody that's, I'm working with personally, the trajectory. And everybody's in these different phases. But I probably will say that once you can conquer this, Nick, then this is your next step. And I would probably say you're going to get there in the next 3 to 6 months on the way that the path that you've been going. Right. I think you're going to figure this out and you're going to get to the next level. So I love all the chicken scratch, guys. You can read that. That's the next evolution of a trader. If you can read Dave's hieroglyphics, you're a professional trader. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does make sense.
And so again, really, really happy with the trajectory that you're headed, that you're going with, and with everybody. So keep it up. And I'd love to see you come back the next time into this room and share the next phase of your journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I
appreciate that. Do we have any? Yeah, go ahead, Cliff.
I said, thank you, Nick. We're on the same journey, just from different angles.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm so excited to travel with you.
But Nick's always on the bus. We're always taking,
I thought maybe I should name my trading company the Bus Route Trading LLC. I think since you made me teach, I'm now starting to drive the bus.
Okay, you're the bus driver.
Yeah.
I love it.
Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, trader in the bus.
Hey, Nick, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, first of all, good presentation. And I needed to be reminded about the price cycle because I would always remember, hey, it's gone 2 price cycles. It's going to move. It's going to go on 3. It should move. It's gone 4. It should move. But what I was forgetting was the more it moves, it becomes even more statistically significant that there is going to be a move. You know what I mean? Like it's going to move, but now there's like an 80% chance it's going to move. Not just that it's going to move. My odds are increasing in this down move. And so my question is, how hard how important is it to you as you are in a position, you put on your first layer, you're hoping it goes up to take profit. You put on your second layer. Now maybe you've got your third. How important is it to you when you're in that process to keep your break even at least 1 price cycle away? And when do you really start looking at that and thinking about that? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I personally, being a person that likes to ride the bus, always like to have my break even very close. Can
you explain that for new traders? What does that mean when you say ride the bus? Because we've talked about that, and I'm like, there's probably people out there that are confused. Just
so I tend to be a more timid trader, and the position sizing that I use naturally is smaller than everybody else apparently. And what that results in is like I can survive a drawdown easier than other people, but my returns take longer to come because I have to basically trade longer to get the same returns, or the only other way to increase them is to increase your size. And usually I just settle for less returns. I don't trade longer. So basically, like, you can get to your daily goal in a few ways. And if you increase your size and you're very aggressive, you might be hurrying up to get there in less moves. And so you might be driving a Mustang. Or you might be like me and you might have your position sizes kind of smaller, which is it's more of a thing of the past. I've been working on that, but it's a running joke. But so like basically to say that I'm taking the bus route is to say that I am not risking very much money and the profits are coming in pretty slowly. And then to Jerry's, I think it was Jerry that asked.
Yes.
Your face didn't. Oh yeah, there you go. I was like, it didn't pop up in the middle. Yeah. Anyway, I like to have my break even close, and so I've noticed that like that's super easy to do when you add your second layer. Really, so you put your first layer on. When you put your second layer on, if they're even, that break even line lands dead in the middle of them. And right. So all I got to do is cross that middle line. And if my layers are just like 2 or 3 pips apart because my price cycles are smaller, then my break even line is on top of my first layer. So that's great because I liked that layer when I put it down. And now I'm just trying to get back to the layer. And then if I'm on the other side of that layer, then I'm in profit. And I will, when I'm first starting my trading session, or if I'm feeling nervous, I will often just basically put all my take profits right on top of that first layer and just take it as if I had only one layer on. And that makes me feel safe. And so whenever I start getting further away, that's been really challenging for me because I'm at odds. Like I want my break even close, but I don't feel comfortable going heavy enough to pull it down. Yeah. So that's been a really big struggle for me. And to mitigate that right now, I'm sort of like taking profits as it goes up with some of the loss off because one price cycle wasn't enough to basically fix everything that was wrong. And so I'm just planning on keep continuing to fix it as it goes.
Yeah, that's what you and I trade very similarly. I drive a broken bus. So most of the time, but I'm the same way. A lot of times, I mean, I'm aware of where my break even is, but a lot of times if I'm several price cycles down, I will use my profits I sit from the bottom to take off my trades that are far away and use that sort of to free up capital as well. So that's another kind of loss mitigation technique that I like to use. Yeah.
I think that's good. And I think the other one that I've been trying to get more comfortable with is picking a spot that feels like a really strong, like, man, if it didn't bounce here, wow, this is a wild day. Like you can see like it's all the way at the bottom. And if it doesn't bounce here, like, holy crap, what the heck? I can't be at fault for losing today. And picking that spot and then don't even trade, just like let it go down there. Like the worst that can happen is it doesn't go down there. It turns around and goes back up, which like that's what you wanted anyway. Or you can just stop trading like Dave's been saying and let it get down there and then hammer that level. And you're not in as heavy because you weren't spastically layering as it went down. And now you're at a level that you feel like it's much more confident. And that should also because you've added so much distance, that should help with like putting your break even line. It should jump quite a bit.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah.
One last question and we'll bounce.
Made me, basically.
Yeah, I did make him. One last question. I like this is a good one from Lewis. He says, "Hey Nick, how do you maintain discipline on the technique when you're in kind of a deep position and it doesn't work out for you? How do you maintain that focus on your plan? How do you stick to the plan? Trust the process." when you're losing, right?
Yeah. It's hard. I think what makes the difference is you got to have like a certain amount of faith when you trade. Like that's what's great about this room is like we're all here and you can see like the person in the hot seat being successful. You can see Dave helping them and they're actually like executing and you can follow along. And so you're just gonna have a day that's good. Remember that day. Remember what you were doing on that day. And like back test. I mean, a huge amount of confidence comes from you believing the numbers. So like if we tell you something and you're like, okay, you said that, but how do I know if that's really true? Go check it out. Like back test it and see if it looks true on the chart and then forward test it. Get in your demo account. And when you see that setup that you're questioning, do something, have a hypothesis, play it and see like, is it true? Did it work out the way that everyone said it was? And gain that confidence in that setup. Then realize like what I said earlier, which is like probabilities means you're not going to 100% of the time have it work out. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing this. And so while it's not working out, just reassure yourself like, hey, I have tested this system. I know this works out most of the time. And yes, I could be in a situation that this isn't going to work out, but this is my process and I'm committed to it. And I have run it through the ringer and I feel comfortable with it. And so I'm just going to keep doing it. And if the situation you're talking about is the situation that you're learning and trying to build the confidence, then just know it's an experiment. Hey, I'm experimenting right now and I just want to see how this is going to play out. What happens if I just keep layering to infinity? What happens? Just see, find out what happens. And I think like just thinking back on the confidence that you built up in the past and just knowing that, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out. That's what I have to do for myself as it goes down. And if you're panicked, just close it. Just stop. If you're feeling horrible about it, just close it all and don't trade it.
I love it. Just get out.
Yeah,
stop
just
doing
close
it.
it.
Just do
like,
it.
nah,
Just do
forget it. I don't want to do it.
I love it. So again, thank you so much, Nick, for everything, for putting this together, for being in a hot seat, for allowing me to get to know you as a trader and as a person. I've really have been enjoying the process that you've undertaken, the work, the effort, everything that you put into figuring out how to put it all together. Right. Can't say it enough. I'm really rooting for you and I'm in your corner, right? Every step of the way. So hopefully we can, you know, have the next time you're in here, you'll be like, I figured it out, guys. The secret, the one thing used to be one price cycle. Now it's my mental state.
I look forward to that day.
I'm just kidding. The one price cycle to rule them all. That's what we need, right? Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Nick. And from there, guys, we will see you guys everybody in the morning for another hot seat session. We got a surprise. If you were there, you know what it is. If you weren't, join us tomorrow morning for some live trading. It's going to be a little different than what we usually do. I'm looking forward to it, excited about it. But I'm going to tease it. So you'll have to come and check it out if you want to participate. So thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys in the morning.
Great job, Nick.
Thank you.